Test pilot Colonel Hayato Kimura remembers the day everything changed. March 2019. He sat in the cockpit of an F-2 fighter during a simulated engagement against Chinese J-20 stealth jets. His radar went dark. The enemy was invisible. He realized in that frozen moment, 30,000 feet above the East China Sea, that his aircraft, Japan's pride, was obsolete. "I felt blind," he later told engineers, "like fighting with one hand tied and both eyes closed." That terror became the FX program's heartbeat. This isn't just another fighter jet. It's a nation confronting its mortality in a sky crowded with predators. The FX program began in the shadow of the F-35 Lightning II, the American stealth jet Japan bought by the dozens. But dependency breeds resentment. And resentment, in Tokyo's defense corridors, breeds innovation. By 2015, Japan's Ministry of Defense made a decision that shocked Western allies: develop an indigenous sixth-generation fighter. Not fifth, sixth. Leap past the F-35, surpass the F-22. Whispers of madness echoed through the Pentagon. Steel turned silver under welding torches, ambition melting into airframes. The project required technology that didn't exist. Engines that could generate 180 kilowatts of electrical power, enough to arm directed energy weapons, lasers that could burn incoming missiles mid-flight, stealth coatings invisible to radar frequencies used by China and Russia, thrust vectoring nozzles that redirect engine power in 3 dimensions, making the jet dance through the sky like a hummingbird evading hawks. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries became the prime contractor. The same company that built Japan's legendary Zero fighters in World War II. History wrapped in carbon fiber. Engineers worked in secrecy. No leaks, no boasting. Just the quiet hum of CAD software rendering what seemed like science fiction. They called it the X-2 Shinshin, the technology demonstrator that first flew in 2016. A proof of concept. A middle finger to doubters. The X-2 was small, experimental, almost toy-like. But it validated Japan's stealth-shaping algorithms. It proved Japanese engineers could make radar cross-sections vanish into background noise. It whispered, "We can do this." Then the real work began. They built peace faster than they built control. The FX design phase revealed Japan's philosophy: size matters. While American jets optimize for carrier operations and tight spaces, the FX sprawls. It's massive. Longer than the F-22, heavier. A wingspan that stretches like an eagle's shadow across tarmac. Why? Range. Japan is an island nation surrounded by threats. China to the west, North Korea to the northwest, Russian patrols probing airspace from the north. The FX must patrol vast ocean expanses, loiter for hours, then strike deep into contested airspace without refueling. American jets can't do that. The F-35's combat radius barely reaches 700 miles. The FX, estimates suggest 1,200 miles, maybe more. Payload capacity is another obsession. Internal weapons bays designed to carry 6 air-to-air missiles, precision-guided bombs, and experimental munitions still classified. Defense Minister Taro Kono publicly stated the FX would carry more missiles than the F-35. Not just a few more, significantly more. This is a jet built for sustained air superiority campaigns, not quick strikes, occupation of the sky. But here's the irony that haunts the program. Size is the enemy of stealth. Titanium burned orange under desert sun, progress glowing like regret. Every square meter of surface area increases radar cross-section. Every panel seam, every rivet, every actuator creates a reflection point for enemy radar. Designing a large jet that remains invisible required breakthroughs in material science. Mitsubishi collaborated with Japan's ceramics industry, yes, the same companies making high-end toilets, to develop radar-absorbent materials, ram coatings thinner than human hair, capable of dissipating electromagnetic waves across a spectrum from X-band to L-band frequencies. The coatings must withstand supersonic speeds, extreme temperatures, salt spray, and UV radiation. A single crack compromises stealth. A single imperfection makes the jet visible. Manufacturing tolerances measured in microns. Then the radar stopped, and so did history. In 2020, as the world locked down under pandemic, Japan's defense engineers made a calculated gamble. They couldn't build the FX alone, not fully. The technology gaps were too vast, so they did something unprecedented for a nation fiercely protective of military independence. They asked for help, not from America, from Britain and Italy. December 2022. Tokyo, London, and Rome announced the Global Combat Air Programme, GCP, a tri-nation collaboration merging the British Tempest program with Japan's FX. The jets would share engines, avionics, weapon systems. Rolls-Royce and IHI Corporation partnering on turbofan development. BAE Systems and Mitsubishi Electric co-designing radar arrays. Critics called it desperation. Supporters called it pragmatism. Engineers called it necessary, because the elephant in the hangar was China. China's J-20 Mighty Dragon entered service in 2017. Stealthy, long-range, armed with PL-15 missiles that outrange anything Japan flies. Then came the J-35, a carrier-based stealth fighter designed to project power across the Pacific. Russia flaunts the Su-57. Even South Korea is developing the Kf-21 Baramai. Japan couldn't afford to fall behind. The FX program transformed from national pride project to existential necessity. But collaboration breeds complications. British engineers prefer modularity, swappable mission systems, adaptable airframes. Japanese engineers obsess over perfection. Every component optimized, integrated, balanced. Italian contractors wanted cost controls. Japan wanted capability at any price. Arguments erupted in conference rooms from Tokyo to Wharton. Deadlines slipped. Budgets inflated. Then came the breakthrough nobody anticipated. Engineers testing the FX's aerodynamic model discovered something extraordinary. The stealth shaping designed to defeat radar also improved airflow efficiency. The jet could supercruise, sustain supersonic speeds without afterburners, longer and faster than the F-22. Fuel consumption dropped 15% below projections. The obsession with stealth accidentally created the most fuel-efficient supercruising fighter ever designed. Suddenly, range projections exploded. 1,200 miles became 1,500. Maybe 1,800. The FX could patrol from Okinawa to the Taiwan Strait, loiter for an hour, engage enemy fighters, and return home. Without tankers. Without support. This changed the strategic calculus. American military analysts quietly revised threat assessments. Pentagon war games started factoring Japanese air power not as defensive backup, but as offensive capability. The implications rippled through East Asian security architecture. China took notice. Test pilot Kimura, the same man who felt blind in the F-2, became the first Japanese pilot to sit in the FX prototype's cockpit. 2024. Nagoya. A ceremony without cameras. He describes the cockpit as alien. No traditional heads-up display. Instead, an AI-driven augmented reality system projects tactical data directly onto his helmet visor. 360-degree awareness. The jet's sensors: AN/APG-style active electronically scanned array, AESA radar, electro-optical targeting systems, infrared search and track, fuse into a single cohesive picture. "It's like seeing through walls," Kimura said. "I know where every aircraft is within 200 miles. Threat priorities auto-calculate. Missile solutions appear before I think to ask. The jet anticipates my decisions." This is sensor fusion elevated to near omniscience. The FX doesn't just fly, it thinks. But here's the terrifying part. It can fly without him. The FX is optionally manned, meaning the cockpit can remain empty. The jet transforms into a loyal wingman, an autonomous drone obeying commands from a manned fighter or ground controller. Or it operates independently, executing pre-programmed missions. adapting to threats in real time using AI decision trees. Japan is building an air force where human pilots command robotic squadrons. Some call it the future. Others call it dystopia. Ethics boards debate the implications. Can an AI decide to launch weapons? Should it? Japan's parliament imposed restrictions. Lethal decisions require human authorization. But override protocols exist. In crisis scenarios, the jet can act independently. The line between tool and autonomous killer blurs in milliseconds at Mach 2. Chrome wings catch sunset, beauty forged from the mathematics of murder. By 2025, the FX program transitioned from engineering marvel to political football. Budget overruns reached $2 trillion, roughly $13 billion USD. Opposition parties demanded accountability. Protests erupted in Tokyo. Citizens questioned why Japan needed stealth fighters when hospitals needed funding. The Ministry of Defense responded with one word: China. Satellite imagery showed Chinese air bases in the South China Sea. New runways, hardened shelters, J-20 deployments, Taiwan tensions escalating. Japanese fishing boats harassed near the Senkaku Islands. Airspace incursions weekly. Public opinion shifted. Polls showed 68% support for the FX program. Fear is the ultimate budget justification. The prototype reaches first flight. Not a quiet test, not a secret taxi run. A full airshow debut. Nagoya Airfield. Thousands watch as the FX, officially designated F-3 Godzilla, lifts off. Thrust vectoring nozzles angle downward. The jet climbs vertically, impossibly, defying physics, then it vanishes. Not literally. But radar operators at the airshow watching their screens see the F-3's signature disappear. The jet's radar cross-section drops to 0.01 square meters, smaller than a sparrow. It's a magic trick. A technological middle finger to every adversary watching via satellite. The crowd erupts. National pride swells. Engineers weep. Kimura, piloting the demonstration, radios ground control. Godzilla is alive. But alive doesn't mean ready. Hydraulic fluid pools black beneath white steel. Every breakthrough bleeds something. Service entry projections target 2035, 9 years from now. That's best case scenario. Assuming no setbacks. Assuming budgets hold. Assuming GCP collaboration doesn't fracture under nationalist pressures. The F-3 must replace F-2 fighters retiring in the 2030s. Japan needs 9,100 jets minimum. At $25 billion per aircraft, roughly $160 million, the total program cost approaches $3 trillion, Japan's largest defense expenditure in history. Critics argue it's unsustainable. Supporters argue it's survival. And here's what keeps Pentagon analysts awake. The F-3 changes the balance of power. For decades, America guaranteed Japanese air superiority. F-15Js, F-35s. Training, logistics. The implicit promise, we protect you. But the F-3 is Japanese. Designed by Japanese engineers, built in Japanese factories, operated by Japanese pilots. If Tokyo wanted, if relations with Washington soured, the F-3 could operate independently. Japan could defend itself, or project power. That independence terrifies some American strategists, excites others. Visual irony in the R-5. In the hangar's fluorescent hum, tomorrow's weapon gathers dust like history already forgotten. The F-3 Godzilla represents more than military hardware. It's a psychological break. For 80 years, since 1945, Japan has been a pacifist nation. Article 9 of its constitution renounces war. The self-defense forces are exactly that, defensive. But the F-3 isn't defensive. It's offensive. Long range, deep strike capability. Weapons that can reach Beijing. Some Japanese scholars warn this marks a dangerous shift, a return to militarism. Nationalists celebrate it as reclaiming sovereignty. The debate rages. Kimura, the test pilot, offers a simpler perspective. I don't want to fight. I want adversaries to see the F-3 and choose not to fight. That's the point. Deterrence. The hope that overwhelming capability prevents war. But history suggests otherwise. Arms races spiral. Capabilities breed countermeasures. China is developing hypersonic missiles specifically to kill stealth jets. Russia upgrades S-400 air defense systems. The cycle continues. Peace, it seems, requires the constant threat of violence. That's the F-3's paradox. And as 2026 unfolds, as the jet progresses from prototype to production, the world watches. Because the F-3 isn't just Japan's future. It's a preview of air combat's next era. 6th generation. AI-assisted. Optionally manned. Invisibly lethal. The sky just got more crowded. And more dangerous. Tokyo's engineers built a machine that rewrites air warfare. But the real question isn't whether the F-3 will dominate the skies. It's whether we're ready for what comes after it. Subscribe so you don't miss the next shocking chapter of military technology that's reshaping global power faster than treaties.